Okay, we are live. We need to get an audio and comms check, so if someone can get back to me right now, if you can see and hear me okay. We're currently having quite a storm here in Wales, to be fair. We've had some trees come down already, high winds, so we hope we don't lose our power. If that happens, I will endeavour to get back on air ASAP. Um, 5 by 5, good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. We did have Anthony from Bibles and Barbells in the studio waiting. He's currently having an issue with microphone, so hopefully we'll endeavour to get him live here with us, as he is in the area which is going to be affected the most with this megastorm, which is rapidly heading its way east in America. Pretty bad stuff coming. This isn't fear porn. This is real serious, people. We're going to get into some of that in a sec. So hopefully we can get Anthony back. I've put a link to his video and YouTube channel underneath this one. In fact, there's a few links underneath this video. So if you want to check them out whenever you want to, feel free to do so. So whilst we wait for Anthony to sort out his technical issues, we're just going to go through the very latest. Now, it was very weird watching this develop from over here in the UK. Up until 2 hours ago, lots of the latest stuff was already like 13 hours old. It's crazy. So luckily, within the last half an hour, 45 minutes or so, that's all been updated, and we've got the very latest of the storm model. It's chaos in America right now, and if you don't, oh, here we go. You always get people like this. Well, after you've watched this live stream, you might have a different viewpoint on that. I know we're going to get people saying, "Oh, it's just snowman up," but this is different. This storm cell is 2,000 miles across, and it's going to affect around 150 to 200 million people. And the people that are going to be affected are just not set up for this kind of weather event. Okay, I understand people in the north of the country are pretty much used to some of this, but even some of those guys are saying this is crazy already. And this storm is not due to hit for at least 24, 36 hours from now. So I'm just monitoring the chat right now whilst we're waiting for the notifications to go global. And I'm aware, yes, silver has hit $100 an ounce, which I put up on my Instagram account. I'm back on Instagram, guys. We're trying to reach as many people as possible with this breaking news. It's pretty damn crazy. It's pretty damn crazy. So whilst we wait for Anthony, I hope we can get him on here. If not, we'll endeavour to catch up with him whenever we can. So hopefully Anthony's doing well, setting up his comms issues over there in Charlotte, USA. So we're going to, if you don't know who Anthony is, I'm just going to share this, which is pretty cool. There he is there. He was actually on the local news talking about all things prepared. I'm just going to make it big screen so you guys can see. Hopefully we can get my friend on here ASAP. Anthony's proper prepared. So listen to what Anthony's got to say.
Sure, I have stuff on the shelf, backup batteries, water, food, general items that you need, tuna meals, just basic stuff. So this could be, devastating to power. So I want to make sure the power needs are taken care of. Click this on. So now this is powering my DC.
Ace Hardware owner Lauren Schaefer says that he plans to stay open with normal store hours to help provide essential supplies.
As long as I can get to the store, we'll stay open. We may have a skeleton staff, but we'll try to stay open and serve the community as long as we can. And
cool. So yeah, that was a short clip of Anthony there. I will see if he pops up in my invite screen at the bottom. So this is all live, guys. So please bear with me. I'm going to have to endeavor to close down. I've got lots of tabs open. And yes, okie doke. Anthony, if you can hear me, mate, I hope you sorted out your comm. So we're going to check in with Anthony right now.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it works. Good to
Right.
hear, brother. How's it going?
It's going good, brother. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too,
Pleasure.
man. It's been a long time coming.
Yes. How you been?
Not too bad, man. We're just hanging in there like most of us. In this day and age, it's pretty rough for us all. But I'd like you to tell us, the viewers, bearing in mind, I don't want to keep you too long because I know you've got loads to double check because there's always stuff to check, right? So how has it been going your end with this storm coming?
It's been going good. We've had plenty of notice on it. So over the last few days, if you've watched my YouTube channel or Instagram or even Facebook, you'll see that I put together, even though we're preppers, when something like this is coming along, you've got to go through everything, sort through stuff, make sure you have everything. And then I went out for some last minute things, like stuff at the grocery store and stuff like that over the last couple of days. But today I finished up everything. So right now I'm sitting pretty tight, ready to go. We're supposed to, in my area in South Carolina, start getting hit. They're saying like tomorrow afternoon, it's going to start going into like Sunday night and then through Monday. And the biggest thing for us is, we're pretty used to snow. It's the ice that's concerning me because that's going to bring down power lines. So that's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, for sure. Do you know what? It's a really good idea that you just mentioned that because I was just being brought up to speed with the various news broadcasts around the US. And it's something I didn't really understand until it was pointed out. And I'll show some of that later on. But they're saying when you've got all of this ice and it's settling on the power lines and the weight of it, that alone with the winds and stuff is enough to bring it down, causing massive disruptions. Now, not all of us, but some of us fortunate enough with the eye to see and the gusto to actually do something about it. How important is it to have backup power from your viewpoint, Anthony?
To me, that's one of the most important things. And without power, basically, people start degrading very fast. When there's a large power outage, even like neighbors, people just that are not ready for it, they kind of go crazy. So what I did was put some things into place over the summer. I had the transfer switch installed in my house. I bumped up my generator to a dual fuel propane. I bought a larger battery, a Pecron 3600 battery on a cart, and that could hook, and I have all the adapters. So I could run my house basic, like refrigerator, lights, TV, basic power indefinitely, really, because I could recharge my battery with my dual fuel generator that's already ready to go. So that's what I did over the summer. So I was ready for something like this that's happening now.
Yeah. It always makes sense to think ahead, doesn't it? I mean, that's one of the things which is a cornerstone of what us preppers actually believe in, because, we've probably seen it in comments under videos, Instagram, YouTube, across the social networks. I am seeing a fair few amount of people saying this is all fear porn, it's not going to be that bad, etc. But this is famous last words, bro, isn't it? People do say things like that, and invariably some of them, not all, will possibly end up as victims.
Yeah, and these are the people that a lot of people, when I talk to them, when I'm in the process of doing something, I'll suggest something to them like, hey, you might want to use the electrician I use, get your house ready for being turned to generator power, get a battery in house, get this. They're just not, it goes in one ear and out the other, it seems, for most people. There are a few people that prep, and then there's so many people, at least in my area where I am, are procrastinators. They'll wait till the last minute. I was getting calls yesterday from people, hey, do you have a spare generator? We can't get anything. There's nothing on the shelves, and that's what happens. They wait till everybody runs to the store and kills each other for toilet paper and bottled water, and then it's too late. So while I'm sitting home, people are still out trying to gather supplies and scramble.
Yeah, that's pretty much how I envisage it going. You know, you got I mean, after we let you go, because I know you got stuff to do, and if I was in your shoes, I'll be double checking, triple checking everything. I mean, the more we think ahead, the more we're trying to work out these potential problems. We get them covered. Theoretically, we're going to be a lot better off than some of these guys who are literally hitting the stores. The parking lots are jammed. The bread, the milk, the meat is gone. The salt is gone. And then you could have people really freaking out and panicking and leaving it to the very last minute. And unfortunately, some incidences, they could potentially be caught out on the roads, in the snow, ill prepared. And unfortunately, some are not going to make it. And it sounds dramatic, of course, but there will be fatalities guaranteed, because if only everyone was a prepper, you know, this is the difference, isn't it? And we are going to see people, unfortunately, fall by the wayside, brother, aren't we?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's going to be the case, especially with this one. It seems to be pretty widespread, and with the ice in the southern area and then the heavy snow in the northern areas of the country, it's just going to be a nightmare. And like you said, there's so many people that wait till the last minute to do what they need to do, or they just put it off and they'll say, well, I'll just call 911, or my neighbor will help me. Or you'll be surprised what happens to people when the grid goes down. You may not have that many friends anymore, because it's like every man for himself. It happened during one of the big hurricane, I think it was Hurricane Sandy, when it hit. I remember talking to a prepper in New York, Staten Island prepper at the time, and he was with his neighbors before the storm. They were smoking cigars, you know, having a good time. And then after the storm devastated Staten Island, New York, nobody wanted to know him. It was every man for himself. And he attested that to me through emails, that, you know, don't depend even on your friends in this situation. It was every man for himself. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, I completely get that. It really is. I mean, when you sort of boil away the essence, as it were, and what we're left with is basically we all need to be as self-sufficient as we possibly can. Because I'm telling you this, people, if you are going to put yourself upon others, whether it's going to be FEMA, the government, whether it's going to be neighbors, friends, family, local stores, 911, whatever, the chances are you're not going to get the help you need when you need it. So you really do need to take this upon yourselves, to have the foresight, to be prepared. How even the government is recommending that people should have at least 3 days worth of food in their house. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, whoever doesn't have 3 days of food, water, you don't have to even go to the store and buy water. I tell people all the time, buy some jugs or reuse juice jugs, fill them up with water and put them in a closet, put them aside. You could freeze them before the storm and use them in your fridge in case the power goes out, to keep your refrigerator colder longer. There's so many things you could do. Even when you go to the grocery store each time, buy a couple of extra cans of tuna or beans or rice, etc. And you'll be surprised. And if you just put it aside in a tote, you'll have a week's worth of food in no time without even hitting your pocketbook.
Yeah, do you know what? That's absolutely true. In fact, that's how I started back in, I think, 2008, 2010, around that time. What I used to do is just set aside just $5 a week. And every time I saw food that was on offer with a long shelf life, I would get it. And it didn't take long to fill up that closet. It really didn't. And before you know it, it's 1 month, 3 months, 6 months worth of food. And then you just rotate it. I mean, it's common sense, but some people just think it's never going to be that bad. Said every victim ever. Do you know what I'm saying? It's true, isn't it?
Everyone seems to think, oh, it's not going to be that bad, or it's not going to happen here, until it happens. And then you're sorry. Then you wish you were, have listened to people like yourself. I think you and I have been on YouTube since I've been on since 2009. I think we came on around the same time. So I've known you for a really long time on this platform, and I know you've been screaming from the rooftop preparedness and demonstrating it as well. That's why you're so successful out there, and hopefully a lot of people are listening to your a lot of the stuff that you're preaching on prepping and preparedness and self-sufficiency.
Yeah, thanks, Anthony. I appreciate that, dude. And yeah, I mean, I started prepping around 2009, 2010, but I didn't start doing YouTube till 2012. And yeah, we go way back, with Armored Cockroach and all of the rest of the guys, and Gary Bug Out Vehicles out in the West, the good old days, as it were. And we're still doing it because it's something that's in our blood, Anthony. Is we thoroughly believe in what we're doing, and in our minds, and I'm guessing lots of other preppers watching right now, it's just common sense. It really is, because every single time, if you're caught out and you're in trouble and you phone the police, they are not going to get you the help at the time you need it. It's just not going to happen. So we need to start doing things for ourselves. And I think a lot of the problems which I've seen over the years is people saying to me, I just can't afford to do this. I just can't afford to get extra. But at the same token, we're seeing these people spending money on cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, going to sports events. They've got all the Netflix subscriptions. And you think when you start knocking into that, you have got time and money. And one of the first things I'll say to people is stop watching the television, because that will preserve your mindset and it will buy you time to research and then to start getting your stuff squared away. It's just common sense, brother, isn't it, really?
It is. You're so right. And back to people that said they say they can't afford it. A lot of these people are the same people that will spend $5 a day for a latte, 5 days a week. That's like $50 at the end of the week. For that $50 times 4 weeks in a month, that's $200 to prepping times a year. Now you've got a good amount of gear and supplies and reserves put aside just from eliminating a latte. So just think about all the things we waste our money on. If you did wrote down like a budget and just seeing all the stuff you waste your money on and your time too, and then just put some of that towards being prepared, you'd be surprised how ready you could be just a few months even.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, I've had it really bad with what happened with the police last year, struggling financially. So I'm actually living, really eating my tin food and my preps right now, and I'm so glad I did, because I'm telling you this, guys, if you haven't got any at least food backup and you lose your job or you get ill or whatever it is, what are you going to do? You need to have something. It doesn't have to be Armageddon or the end of the world, but you do need to have the basics. And the weird thing was, when I was looking earlier, I didn't realize that this storm system is 2,000 miles long and it's going to affect over 150 million people. And I'm still seeing comments saying, oh, it's fear porn, nothing's going to happen. And you just have to just let these lunatics get on with it, because they're beyond help at this point, aren't they, really?
Right. And you're talking about a storm that encompasses almost half the population and a lot of the really populated states in this country. And for people to say listen, I hope it passes over and nothing happens. Okay, that everything that I did is not wasted. I didn't waste anything. It's a learning opportunity and it's a practice opportunity. But if it's happening, all these yesterday when I was interviewed by the news people, I just happened to come across them when I was getting propane, and they were pretty concerned. The whole news, all the news people here in South Carolina, North Carolina, they're very, very concerned, and you can see it on their faces that this is like a once in 10 years plus type of storm, and the damage it could do with the power outages is off the charts.
Yeah, it sure is. And I remember when you used to live back down in Florida way, where you had all of those warnings of hurricanes and stuff. I mean, can you tell the viewers little sort of insights in your experience about what you witnessed when you actually lived through genuine real life emergencies, moreover hurricanes when you was down south a bit?
Yeah, believe it or not, in Florida, we had I was there 18 years in South Florida, around the Fort Lauderdale, Miami area, and we went through many hurricane drills. I worked at University of Miami and other large universities, and I was in charge of helping getting the campus and the students ready and the campus safety ready. But even people in Florida, you'd be surprised, they procrastinated as well. And Home Depot would be out of plywood, and people would buy up the generators and then try to sell them for triple the amount of money on the street. And I remember back, I think it was back in 2005, one of the hurricanes, I forget the name of the hurricane, but it put us out in my area, my whole area. We were out of power for 1 week and no water. So I used my preps. I had a portable toilet. I had a basic Coleman stove with the little, fuel things that you put into it. Cooked on that every day. Used the toilet. I had some backup preps at the time, like a solar panel, a small battery, and we got by. But we had stuff on the shelf. I was, at that time prepping as well, and we were able to get through it. But a lot of people had to go to shelters, leave their homes, and go with relatives, or try to leave the state. It wasn't a good situation. So even in South Florida, there was people that procrastinated as well in those. And there's hurricanes almost every year there that you have to get ready for.
Yeah, that's pretty far out when you think about it. I mean, one would like to assume or maybe think that, living in an area like that with traditional storm systems, which are happening on an annual basis down there, you'd like to think at one point someone's got to let it sink in that actually this isn't just a one-off. This is happening pretty much every year. Next time we need to make sure that we're okay. And then you just said it there. There's still stories of people just like, nah. And I think at the end of the day, we can do what we can do, trying to make as many people aware as possible. And that's not even taking into account geopolitics and weather modification and all of the other horrendous things that are going on. This is just bare basics weather. But, there are strong indicators that the weather systems are being manipulated. And what I couldn't understand was when I saw a recent news bulletin only half an hour to an hour ago now, they were saying you could be getting temperatures of down to -50 Fahrenheit. Now we're talking temperatures which not many people have actually experienced. So I just hope and pray that people are going to take this seriously and not laugh it off and become victims, because the more information and data that gets fed into these models, this actually looks like it's getting worse than what they actually predicted. And all we can do is just help and advise, and of course get our own stuff sorted out for our loved ones and our family, right?
Yeah, I agree. On the topic of weather modification, if you guys remember, not too long ago, Hurricane Helene came through. Well, not so much my area, west of me in western North Carolina. And that storm, what it did in the mountains is totally off the charts and cannot be explained. So when you want to get into discussion on how things could be possibly manipulated, it goes on every day. I mean, I see it, the basic spraying in the skies every day. And then there's other systems that they have and things that we probably don't even know about that they could use to help whatever they want to move along. And so that all could be tied into something like this as well. And temperatures that low, I mean, you're definitely going to get pipes breaking and flooding and things like that. That's why yesterday I made sure I found out where my water main shutoff is in the house. I had a bookshelf blocking it. I moved everything. I took the panel off. I made sure I knew where it was. And I know if the temperatures get to a certain point, I'm going to kill that water coming into the house so we don't get a potential disaster, where pipes can break and flood the house. That'd be a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, I was only saying, a friend of mine I was speaking to only yesterday, he served in the Royal Marines and he's done Arctic training and stuff like this. And he was saying, it's all well and good with certain regions, especially in America, are geared up for it. So you're looking at North Minnesota, etc.
Right.
It's only bare basics then when you put mains water pipes certain depth underneath the surface. If you're not mains infrastructure orientated in that way, you are going to get problems, and you are going to get burst pipes, frozen pipes. There's going to be problems with sanitation, with water. I mean, you had a real life test exercise for a whole week without power. The most I've experienced is 3.5 days. Mm-hmm. And it does make you think that water's more important than people realize it. And I think it's probably the elephant in the room, and until it's too late. So having spare water on hand, that tip you said earlier, with freezing it and putting it in the refrigerator, that's a great idea, by the way. And I think, you're absolutely right. If you don't take precautionary measures to safeguard your water, you could be in serious trouble within the first few hours of this temperature drop.
Exactly. And that's why I store water. And right before I came on your show, I was getting ready to fill up. I have 10 empty 5-gallon buckets with lids. I'm going to fill those up and just put them in another room and leave them with fresh water on top of what I already have. And plus I have two, and you guys know this, the LIFESAVER jerry cans. I have 2 of those brand new, ready to go. And those can do 20,000 liters of processed water to drink, to wash, to clean a wound, to rinse stuff off. So I've got a lot of redundancy built in. I just hope I don't have to use it all, but I have it, and I'm going to be ready in case we do lose the grid and water and sewage and stuff like that. Then spreading of disease and going to the bathroom becomes a really arduous process.
Yeah, for sure. And do you know what? You've nailed it there. I remember getting, and I've got this in my preps, and it's like it's almost like a perfect shaped bucket with a lid with a toilet seat on there. I can't remember. I think they're called Porta Johns or something like that. But you get a bag with a liner, you get like the absorption sachet and all the rest of it, where you can actually go to the toilet for an extended period of time, and it's not going to be as bad versus someone who's done nothing at all. And then they realize that they're going to need 5 liters or a gallon of water just to flush the toilet for one person. And you take that to a family of 4, and it's a week. That is a massive problem already. It really, really is.
It is. And my wife hasn't seen it yet, but upstairs, where she doesn't come up here too much, I have my Thetford Curve. It's a camping toilet, and it has its own compartment with fresh water, a compartment for collects the waste, a flusher, and then an area to fill up more water. It holds like 4 gallons of water within itself. It's the same exact height as a regular toilet. I have it set up in my bathroom right here behind me, all ready to go. It's ready to go in case my regular toilet stops working. My wife can go on a toilet that's similar to what she's used to, and she won't have to sit on a bucket, with a styrofoam thing on it.
Yeah, it is. So, and it does make
it comfortable.
It is, and it gives you a good sense of achievement that you've actually listened, took advice, took it upon yourself to spend your valuable time into researching, to getting it, to testing it out, to making sure it's worthy. Once that's been achieved, then it has a guaranteed place within your preps, and it's very important. And regarding to the LIFESAVER jerry cans, the same here. I've got a few myself, and I use them all the time. I've got friends who stayed recently who are van lifers as well, and they are just awesome. And I don't recall having one single problem with my LifeSaver stuff. And that's one of the reasons why I openly sort of promote them on this channel, because there are some water purification systems out there made in China which aren't that good. And I've had Guardia myself, and it knocked me on my ass for 6 weeks, really bad. So that was a big wake-up call for me. And straight away, I got on board with LifeSaver, and I've never had any problems. Have you had any problems with LifeSaver so far?
I haven't, and I've taken a lot of advice from you and other guys in the UK that use those. That's why I invested in 2 of them with extra filters, charcoal. I have the little hose attachment. Everything's set up in a bag. It's all ready to go. And
they got new ones now.
Yeah,
the graphene ones, which are still to
those,
do a video on that soon. So that's coming within the next month or so, I guess.
Are those new?
Huh?
Are those new? Those filters, the graphene?
Yeah, LifeSaver. To my knowledge, I've had this for a while now, a few months, and I was the first in the UK to get these, and they've only just developed these. They're pure graphene, so they will do exactly the same 20,000 liters in your LifeSaver jerry can. I'm still at odds to understand exactly what sort of difference they do, but to my knowledge, the bog standard ones that we've both got work absolutely fine, and they really are. And just before when we let you get on, because I know you got stuff to get on with, and I really appreciate you spending time with us, Anthony. I really do. And I just wanted to get your viewpoint upon what you've seen and heard in the last 24, maybe 48 hours with panic buying, because from what I've seen, it's absolutely insane out.
Well, as far as today, I didn't try to go to any of the stores. But I did see all the parking lots were full. Yesterday, my main goal was fuel, which is propane. And I ended up going to several different places. I went to one place called Tractor Supply, and there was a line of people. I didn't film it. I should have filmed it. Everybody had at least 2 or 3 tanks that was online. And I got online with my 1 tank because that's all I needed to get filled. And I said, I'm going to be here all day. And then I ended up finding another place that was filling, and I got it done. But I can assure you today that there is panic buying going on, not only in my area, but across this whole swath of states that they're saying the storm is going to hit. The panic buying goes down to the last minute. As far as people fighting for things, I haven't seen those stories yet, but I'm sure I'm going to see, or we're going to see those late tonight into tomorrow on the news with people, fighting for water or salt, salt or sand or a shovel, a snow shovel or something like that related to what's coming. It always happens here, always.
Yeah. Do you know what? I actually experienced a little bit of that myself when COVID happened. I actually saw 2 grown men having a fist fight over toilet paper, and I'm not making this up. I saw that with my own eyes. And then of course we see stuff on Instagram, people on Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, all the rest of it, and they're just getting their phones out and saying, my God, I've just come into Walmart, I'll come to get a snow shovel because our one's cracked, and look at that, there's 1 left, and people are going nuts over it. Right. And this is what happens if you don't have the foresight to take things into your own hands. At some point you could become a cropper with the panic buying. And it's just, in my opinion, well, in our opinion, I presume, it's just basic things: food, shelter, warmth, comfort, shelter. That's it. That's all we really need. All the rest of it is just whistles. So we need to make sure we got those covered. If you lose power for anything more than, say, a day, 2 days, 3 days, like myself and Anthony, a whole week, you really have to think, how would you cope? If you really want to test yourself, people, if you're serious or you're being drawn towards these conversations, turn your fuse board off for a whole day. See how you get on. Because only until you live through it, Anthony, you're going to truly learn. Am I right? Am I right there?
You're right. Shutting off I haven't shut off my panel in a while to test it. Then do that. I have done it before, and that's the real test. But I may experience it in the next 24 hours, because if the power goes out, we'll be I'll try to get as much footage and whatever I could get filmed and posted to show you what's going on. And speaking of going out into the mix of things, I'm into self-preservation. To, you know, as preppers, we could defend ourselves, and we talk about that in a lot of our preparation, self-defense, and this. My goal is not to be in a situation where I have to do like a stupid situation where I have to go out and get a roll of toilet paper because I didn't have the foresight to think about it. And now I'm in a fight with some guy in a store that could end up, he could have a gun, he could have a knife, he could be with other people. You don't want to put yourself in that situation at all costs. You want to avoid that. So think self-preservation. Get your stuff now and let everyone fight it out at the store over toilet paper, bottled water, or a snow shovel while you're sitting home smoking a cigar and having a bourbon.
Yeah, basically. And I shouldn't laugh, but I just can't help myself because we both enjoy a good cigar, and that's a lovely thing to see. So I feel we've taken up a fair amount of your time already. It's been over half an hour, so I'm going to let you get on with it, bro. Is there anything you want to say, take as long as you need, to the viewers out there about guys in the storm zone in America? What's your advice to those people, right?
I mean, if I had to give anybody advice now, the first thing I would say is review what you have already in place. If you find yourself falling short, or if you're in a danger zone and you're not ready, think about getting to somewhere safer, maybe a relative, a friend, etc. If you can still go out and there's still a window of opportunity to get some needed things like flashlight, battery, blankets, sleeping bag, fuel, extra fuel, gas, petrol, propane, whatever you're going to need, do it now and don't wait. And then get to where you're going to be and just hunker down and, you know, pray for the best and make sure your family and your loved ones, they come first. Think about your pets. They're important also, and that you've taken care of them. And try to just make a contingency list of, I have a thing right here, just make a list of things you need to do before the storm hits and try to get it done as soon as you can.
Yeah, that's great advice. And bro, we're the same with lists. Always do a list, and you can feel good when you start ticking it all off. So I'd like to thank you, brother, for coming on the show, and hopefully we can do some more of these as we go through time, because we are going through crazy times. We seriously are. It's already been prophesized. We know this. So we need to be careful. We need to connect. We need to make sure that we know what we're doing. We've got all squared away with ourselves, our family, friends, and loved ones, and of course our pets as well. It's very, very important. So thanks very much for coming on, brother. Really appreciate it. And you take care of yourself, and we'll speak to you soon, buddy. Okay?
Thank you, brother. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it.
No problem at all. Godspeed, bro. See you later.
Take care.
Bye, man. See ya. So that was our friend Anthony out in US of A. And yeah, stuff's getting real. It really is getting real. So we're going to go through some of the things which we were talking about. It's pretty crazy. So this is for some of you guys in the UK as well. They are predicted to have minus 50 Fahrenheit, which is minus 45 centigrade. Now, how many people have been outside in minus 45? Probably not that many people watching. But let me tell you this, it's bonkers. It really is bonkers. So let me see, what have I done something here? Oh, dude, I don't know how I've done that. I've just shut down all of my Udemy flips. Let me see if I can sort this. I'll put this back up there. No. Oh, damn, how have I done that? Yeah, this is weird. Let me see if I can sort something. I've done something. Oh, good. I've still got access. Brilliant. No problem at all. So the next thing is 113, I think it is. 114. Right, here we go. we're going to go through some of the panic buying stuff now. I've put these up as shorts on my channel, so hopefully we can see. I don't know where I am. Right, cool. Okay, no worries. So yeah, we're going to go down here. Now, exploding trees. Who has seen and heard of this? This is when temperatures get so extreme, the water, the moisture, the sap within trees expand and they explode. And this is not AI.
Wait for it. Listen. Trees are just falling left and right. Sounds like a war zone out here. These are the ones that I'm concerned about.
So yeah, that's exploding trees. Let's see if I can stop this. I don't know what I've done here. I accidentally clicked on something, and what the hell? How do I make that bigger? This is very weird. I might have to come back to you on this, people. Something's really gone funny here. Right. Oh, cool. At least I can see myself. Brilliant. We got the chat back. Yeah, for some reason, all my tabs along the top of the screen is gone, and I need to get it all back. There's a lot to go through. So let's have a little look where we were. Right. This one was crazy. Every is it 10 years? Look at this.
And New Yorkers have got to be scratching their head saying, what's with the sixes? This is what I'm talking about. This is what I was working on, Gail, when I ran in here. Think about this. 1996, all right? We had a storm that delivered 20.2 inches, the fifth biggest in city history. 10 years later, 2006, we pick up our second biggest snowstorm ever, 26.9. 10 years after that, 2016, we pick up the biggest snowstorm in New York City history, 27.5. What does 10 years later, this Sunday, on 2026 hold? We shall find out, Gail.
Yeah, pretty crazy. Who knew about that one? That was in New York City, by the way. So yeah, if you guys are out in downtown New York, you know exactly what I'm talking about right there. Let's go to another one.
We're about to experience 3 types of extreme weather that could all be historic on their own. The massive winter storm will create a crippling ice storm that will stretch from New Mexico to the mid-Atlantic, covering roads, trees, and power lines with an inch or more of ice. That's a devastating amount that will leave millions without power. To the north, up to a foot of snow will pile up from Oklahoma to the East Coast. Some places will get more snow than they've seen in years, including major cities in the Northeast. But it's the Arctic cold that might turn this storm into a deadly disaster that could last for days. More than half of all Americans will experience sub-zero wind chills in the next week, a nightmare scenario for the millions that could be without power. And it will also lock in the snow and ice into place and extend the misery for days.
American shoppers are clearing out grocery stores ahead of the worst winter storm ever.
It's happening. The chaos is happening. The craziness is happening.
A powerful winter storm called Storm Fern is causing panic across the U.S. The storm is expected to affect nearly 200 million people and could bring temperatures with lows near -50 degrees Fahrenheit and as much as 24 inches of snow in some areas. Some grocery stores are already running out of basic items. The panic buying seems to be happening mostly in southern states, even though those areas are not expected to get as much snow as the Midwest or Northeast. Adding to the fear, one meteorologist warned that the extreme cold could cause trees to literally explode, fueling fears and a rush to stock up before shelves go bare.
People always get stressed when these kind of big weather events happen and people load up on groceries thinking this is the last time they're ever going to be able to do it.
American shoppers.
I've never seen anything like this, guys. Look at this. How big that storm is, how big that one is, the big one coming from and that's the big one people are talking about, California.
This is 48 hours out. And in 7 to 10 days, when this storm is over.
Crazy.
Virginia is expecting a large winter storm that is predicted to impact the entire Commonwealth. I have just signed an emergency declaration due to the impending large winter storm. The declaration will allow state agencies to be prepared for impacts all across the Commonwealth. We are expecting large amounts of snowfall, freezing rain, and sleet. And we also expect Virginia will experience dangerously low temperatures, power outages, and unpredictable road conditions. Virginia agencies across the Commonwealth are currently preparing for this large-scale storm. The Virginia Department of Transportation is prepared for this multi-day storm response. They have begun with pre-treating and will have resources pre-positioned across the state. Virginia.
How bad are the grocery stores? We are talking about a winter storm that is expected to come this weekend. We are here at the Woodmore Town Center in front of the Wegmans, and take a look for yourself and you can see that the parking lot is packed. We also have been seeing some of the lines inside. The lines, they go all the way deep into the aisles. And then this is something else that we've noticed. People are saying that they are stocking up on water. They're stocking up on some non-perishable food. Also stocking up on sweets and, of course, some little snacks. So maybe a bag of chips, also some ice cream. And they say they wanted to come today because they are expecting through the next couple of days, maybe Friday and Saturday, that the grocery stores are going to be packed. Also behind me, you see Costco. We are talking about a lot of people that are trying to do their shopping right now. And this isn't the only location. Also in Virginia and in other parts of Maryland and DC, where we are seeing some of those shelves that are completely empty. People are making sure that they're getting ready for this winter storm ahead of the weekend. How
That's crap music. We're not having that rubbish. Yeah, people are going nuts out there, people. So yeah, that's just a little glimpse of some of the stuff that's going down out there. Absolutely bloody mental. Seriously is. Now this, I've got to share this with you guys. What have we got? 317 people in the chat. Thank you for everyone coming along. Thanks to the moderators in the house, silencing the idiots, because there's people out there saying, "No, it's just a bit of snow. Grow a pair." Well, these people are always going to be caught out. Don't say you haven't been warned. So this, yeah, I think this one, yeah, we need to listen to this guy.
Much of the US is braced for an Arctic storm this weekend. It's set to bring heavy snow and ice and see temperatures drop a long way below zero. Joining me now is storm chaser Kyle Cutton, who is in Pennsylvania. Looks pretty calm for the time being, Kyle. Is it cold?
It's very cold, and thank you for having me on today.
It's expected to get, now I appreciate you're probably more Fahrenheit than Celsius, but by our reckoning, minus 45 or 46 Celsius. I mean, that's pretty extreme.
It's going to be very extreme. It's going to cripple 1/3 of the nation, part of the nation that never sees this kind of weather. My concern is that for the folks that have never seen this weather, that are in large radar gaps and cell phone coverage gaps, it's something that becomes very life-threatening the moment you have no heat and you have no service.
And that's the real risk. We're hearing in some areas, some states, they've got linemen out, which sounds like the old song, but you know what I mean, out there because if the electricity goes down, a lot of people are going to be without those basic heating resources.
That's correct. And it's in an area that this will be a generational storm that when it's said and done, I pray the fatality count is very low, if none at all. But unfortunately, in this situation, that tends not to be the case.
Kyle, what's the cause of this storm then? If you're saying it's a once-in-a-generation storm, what is the meteorological cause of it?
Well, essentially, we've had a system that's dipped dead. It's come over from the Pacific, grabbed the moisture, and then, of course, the Arctic blast that will funnel it has pushed it far enough south that's caused this. It'll be up to a foot of snow where I'm standing, and, of course, the ice will layer everything and cause power outages for miles to see. I'm actually going to be leaving Pennsylvania and heading down to both Atlanta and to Charlotte. I not only am the president of the storm chasing page that you guys that we've worked with, I'm also the president of a UK-based construction company, and we have projects down there. So Whitegate Construction, we will be down there looking at all of from Atlanta to Charlotte with all of the devastation.
Yeah, and look, Pennsylvania, obviously in the northeast of the US, Georgia, North Carolina, you're talking about sort of halfway down on the coast. But yeah, I mention that because the storm is going very far south. States like Oklahoma and Texas likely to experience conditions that perhaps they've never seen.
Never. Well, what happens is in those communities, they're not geared up. The houses aren't built for that. The insulation levels are low. Pipes will freeze. It's most likely going to be a situation that all emergency services will be pressed beyond their capacity.
Is there a belief that climate change is behind this?
You know, it's something that it's hard to ignore and not to look at. I don't know the studies that have come out on this, but it's certainly something that you have to look at and wonder, is this what we're seeing?
And Kyle, that begs the wider question, especially as you're in construction, as to whether housing across the US can cope with these varying conditions. Of course, we saw the wildfires in California in places where a lot of homes are built with timber, which is far from ideal. And now you're saying that homes in those usually warmer states are going to struggle to cope with this.
I'm glad you mentioned that. It's something that the United States needs to address and needs to address immediately. And as far as we are a large multifamily company that does hotels and larger company, but when it comes to the smaller residential, we have to really look at, like you said, why would you build wood next to timber that can be on fire? Why would you have uninsulated houses in a predominantly southern area that now is experiencing cold? It goes back to shelters with tornadoes and hurricanes. We lack this in the United States greatly.
Look, Carl, we did introduce you as a storm chaser. I mean, I appreciate chasing tornadoes and things that you can, twisters, you can see things like that. When you chase a storm like this, what does that look like?
This is the scariest. And I know people might have a hard time understanding that, but think about this. This is going to go through 170 million people's lives. This is going to be a storm that, for all intents and purposes, when you are in a hurricane or a tornado, the moment it's away from you, you don't run the risk of freezing to death. And for all intents and purposes, these temperatures are going to be in areas that people have never seen. They're most likely not going to be dressed well enough. They're most likely going to be putting themselves in harm's way, trees falling, power lines coming down, cars wrecking. I don't think people will understand the magnitude of danger that's coming at them. I have 8 storm chasers that will be spread across the United States that will be covering this, and I fear the most for their safety as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would just want to stay in bed and make sure, the doors and windows are secure. Is it really wise to be chasing this thing? I mean, is there a thrill? Is it the adrenaline rush of following a weather system like this?
I'm glad you asked that. It's a great question, folks. Our page is for 100% for rendering safety, for helping people in need. I can tell you a story. Just last year, I had a lady, and this is in upstate New York, where they're used to this, and she was stuck in the snowbank, freezing, on the edge of it being a very sad situation. I came around the corner and there was her car embedded in a snowbank. And this is an area that is used to this weather. So imagine over the weekend when millions of people who've never seen this decide to go driving out in it or whatever traveling they do. So it's very concerning.
Yeah, you see that in a lot of places. Look, we get bad weather here, but I don't think it really compares to the sort of continental size weather that you're going to struggle with. Nevertheless, when people experience this, others tend to pull together and support them and help them. Are you seeing that kind of thing where you are right now?
Well, I think you will see that. Unfortunately, right now, we have a lot of pandemonium and the stores are being drained of all supplies. But when push comes to shove, I'd like to say the spirit of America, similar to the UK, helps thy neighbor.
Yeah, tell me about the stores then. Well, people are going and buying supplies. I mean, look, I know the prepper thing is pretty big in lots of places, but certainly big in parts of the US. Is that catching? Are people thinking, hang on, we need to get the pasta and the toilet roll and all the other things that we sold out of in the pandemic again?
Social media is on fire right now. And again, your audience can follow us on Facebook, Tornado Tacklers, and you can see on any weather channel, the milk, the toiletries, the meat aisles are absolutely barren in many states across the United States.
Kyle, really appreciate you taking the time to join us. Goes without saying, stay safe, and maybe we'll speak on the other side.
We'll see you guys later. Thank you again.
Wow. So what do you guys think of that? It's pretty crazy with what's going on. We're getting reports from all over, and I'm going to endeavor to close these tabs down as we go. What I have done, this is quite interesting because some of you guys in America watching this, I've put a link under this video and you can click on it if it's going to affect you. Anyone in the United States who is planning to fly anywhere, we've got the very latest intel with cancellations, and this is being updated live, and it's more than 10,000 planes, which they said earlier, and we're going to look at it right now. Yes, it's gone up to 18,000 delays. Nearly 1,000 flights have been cancelled today, and this isn't going to start until tomorrow afternoon, Saturday afternoon. Okay, so expect this to rise. If you are flying, or you know anyone, loved ones, friends, family, anyone else who is going to be flying, you can search by the airline, where you depart from, where you arrive within continental US. All of the flight data and information is there. So if you want to click the link underneath the video, it will take you straight there. Okay. Right. Let's pull up the next thing. Yeah, someone's just said Sicily in southern Italy. Yeah, they've had a typhoon. Major, actually. Yeah, not too clever. Right, we got more reports coming in. These are the latest ones, by the way.
You better be driving slow on the roads, because if you don't, it is going to be a treacherous commute, and it's only going to get worse and worse over the next couple of hours. And the entire weekend basically is going to be snowy, icy, and bitterly cold across the eastern two-thirds of the country. So not fun for anyone. If you have any outdoor activities, you don't want to do them this weekend. The snow is just beginning to make its way over Kansas right now, and that's going to continue to push across the country. And this is just the beginning of the widespread alerts. The reason that over 200 million Americans are under some sort of winter weather advisory. The biggest issue right now is going to be the very cold conditions, down to negative 50 degrees across the northern parts of the United States through today. Northeastern parts of the United States late tonight and into tomorrow going to be dealing with that dangerous cold as well. And as that cold air clashes with the storm system that's currently forming, that's the reason that we have these widespread areas in pink winter storm warnings. But what we're most concerned about are these areas in purple, ice storm warnings. That should begin later tonight across parts of Mississippi, Tennessee, Alabama, Arkansas. We're going to be seeing upwards of 1/4 of an inch of accumulation, and then over the Carolinas starting Saturday, continuing through Monday, where over 1/2 of an inch of accumulation is likely, and the potential for upwards of an inch of ice accumulation. And that could be catastrophic for infrastructure that is just not built to handle winter weather. This is what's going to be happening through the rest of the week and into the weekend. So let's break it down, the timing of exactly what we can expect, because again, there is going to be widespread activity that's going to start over the next couple of hours. Likely going to be the heaviest snow across parts of Oklahoma and Kansas late tonight, as that band of ice sets up across parts of Oklahoma, Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, all the way up to Mississippi. Then it heads over to Tennessee, where basically all of Tennessee is going to be seeing some sort of sleet or freezing rain throughout the day Saturday. That's why Nashville and Memphis are so concerned. And then by Saturday and into Sunday, a second storm system will just create widespread activity with over 2,000 miles of snow and ice from Texas all the way up to Washington, D.C. And then the northeastern parts of the country, places like Boston and New York City could be seeing their biggest snowstorm in years. They might even see upwards of 12 inches of snow Saturday and into Sunday. There are some question marks exactly how much snow is going to fall because the snow ice line is very, very tricky to forecast right now. But we'll keep you updated as the days progress. Make sure you stay safe out there this weekend. It's going to be cold.
Blimey. I would say that woman's on a rather large amount of amphetamine. Bloody hell. She's absolutely off her cheese. Right, let's have a look. Right, got to close that one down. Blimey, look at these two. So some of these weather people in America are pretty crazy. Nonetheless, it's the latest we got to go with, so we're going to check this one out now. Severe weather. This is NBC.
Winter storm that's moving east across the country. It's set to slam more than half the map. People from Texas all the way to southern New England are bracing for hazardous ice, heavy snow, brutally cold temperatures.
172 million people are now under some form of winter weather warning through Sunday. More than 1,700 flights, they have already been canceled for tomorrow, this according to FlightAware. And more than a dozen states have declared emergencies. Anyone in the storm's path is urged to stay indoors. NBC News meteorologist Bill Cairns joins us now. Man of the hour, Bill, this storm is moving east. Tell us more about the regions that are going to take a direct hit and the timeline you're tracking.
Yeah, so many locations. The forecast has slowly been changing and tweaking. So you just really have to stay up with your NBC station here as we continue to go through this storm. So the freezing line is now dipping down. It's not quite in Texas yet, but it will be this afternoon to this evening. That's when the ice will begin. We have new ice storm warnings that stretch from the Texas-Louisiana border, including areas around Alexandria, all the way up through northern Mississippi. Now we have ice storm warnings from Atlanta, the northern half of South Carolina, western half of North Carolina, a little slice here of Tennessee too. You know, the Chattanooga area near Knoxville. And I think these ice storm warnings are going to be expanded northwards in time. It's looking like less snow and more ice problems right up through the mid-Atlantic, all the way now to New York City. So that has been changing slowly over the last couple of days. Less snow on the East Coast and more ice. So here's the timing of this. And you can see that snow ice line pretty much from, if you drew a line from Oklahoma City to Little Rock, back up here to Nashville. North of that, primarily dealing with snow, but south of that, dealing with all that messy sleet. You're lucky if you get sleet from this, because the sleet will just ping and bounce off everything. You can shovel it and move it. It's the freezing rain that we're very concerned with. So Dallas, you're going today rain to freezing rain, eventually over to sleet, maybe a tad bit of snow on the backside. Nashville, you're going to be looking at just a brief period of snow and then likely sleet and then into freezing rain. Washington, D.C., kind of a similar story there too, guys.
You know, Bill, some people may think, okay, we're just getting a little ice in my area, but talk about just how serious ice can actually be.
Yeah, the weight of the ice is the problem when it gets on the trees and the power lines. So just from experience in dealing with many ice storms over the years, once you get over a quarter inch, that's when you can start getting some branches breaking. When you get up to a half an inch of ice, that's when you can get limbs of trees falling down. When you get up to 3/4 of an inch, that's when you're just talking about whole trees coming down and also power lines. And then we will look at our color table here. Anywhere in blue is over half an inch. So that's why we're telling anyone on this map, if you're in the blue, prepare for prolonged power outages. That's Shreveport, northern half of Louisiana, northern half of Mississippi, now extending into areas of Tennessee, almost to Nashville. And this area is growing too, from Atlanta into western North Carolina. And I'm very closely watching all our friends in North Carolina up into Virginia. That's the other spot that I think that the ice forecast is getting worse instead of better.
We will be closely watching you. Bill Cairns, thank you so much.
Well, speaking of which, Louisiana is now under a state of emergency with frigid temperatures and dangerous ice that is threatening the South.
People are being urged to stay off the road and to make sure they're prepared for those potential power outages Bill was just talking about. Joining us now, Mike Steele. He is the communications director at the Louisiana Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. Mike, thanks so much for joining us. So the South, you know, is not like the East. You guys aren't used to these big winter storms. What do people need to know, and what are you all doing in the governor's office to help people stay safe?
Yeah, we have a number of challenges when you're talking about a system like this. Like you said, we don't see them quite as frequently as some of the other states do. We have a lot of elevated roadway, interstate systems and different things in Louisiana. that are always a challenge. And when you're talking about ice, it seems to be much more difficult than just a snow event. The message tonight will basically be, once those areas start to be impacted, Shreveport, Monroe, Alexandria, those type areas, once they begin to get impacted, we're asking people to stay off the roads until we can kind of see, what condition they're in. It's not a good time to be traveling. We're trying to urge people to take advantage of the window we have right now. If they need, groceries or gas for generators or different things like that, we're asking them to try and make sure they have those things in place so that they can kind of hunker down once the evening arrives. On top of the ice event, over the next couple of days, we have extremely cold temperatures that are expected to extend all the way through the beginning of next week. And so that could kind of prolong this event in some of the heaviest impacted areas. And so, people really need to be prepared for this and take advantage of the window we have now.
Can you talk a little bit about that, Mr. Steele, in terms of like that preparation, what people need to be ready for, what resources they should be ready to receive? I know the governor says that salt trucks are already heading to different staging areas. Utility crews are on, round the clock notice. So what else is your team doing that people should be on the lookout for to know where they can go to receive this type of help?
Well, and that's one of the things we try to make the public understand. Like, we can do as many things as we can at the state level. I know our local partners are doing the same thing at the local level. That doesn't mean there's not going to be impacts. Like you guys were just discussing a few minutes ago, when you have this much ice coming down in certain areas, there's going to be power outages, there's going to be other factors to deal with. The more you can do to kind of prepare for those things now, maybe you have loved ones that rely on medical equipment that needs, some type of power. Think about those things you can do. If they can stay with someone else, maybe outside the area, that may be the best bet over the next couple of days. Prescription medicines are another big concern. If people can't get to the store and can't get to the pharmacy. So, it's something we want the public to be safe, but we understand that there's going to be a lot of work over the next several days trying to get through this one.
Well, we are hoping that you're all safe down there in Louisiana. Mike Steele, thank you so much.
We are joined now.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy what's going down out there. These are the latest that I can find out what's going on with this storm. And we're endeavoring to, oh my God, 14 states have just declared emergencies. Wow, we're going to find out live what's happening here. This is just dropped.
FEMA is now staging resources ahead of a major winter storm. That storm stretching more than 2,000 miles, and officials are calling it potentially catastrophic. Now 14 states and Washington, D.C. are declaring states of emergency. We have team coverage with correspondents all across the country, and meteorologist Jeff Banson is right here timing it all out for us. Jeff, what's the latest on the forecast?
Yeah, timing's pretty much the same, right? It's impacts at this point, and they are far-reaching from the desert Southwest. Look at that. We've got parts of New Mexico in a winter storm warning, and that extends all the way just about to the mid-Atlantic here. It's all but an inevitability that much of the winter storm watch for the I-95 corridor will get upgraded to a warning at some point today. There you can see it. And I mean, the overwhelming majority of the country is under some type of weather alert with this storm system. It's also the extreme cold. We're going to talk about that in a second here. That extends all the way from the Canadian border to the Gulf. Places like Houston, we'll be talking about temperatures well below freezing. And this is going to be a prolonged deep freeze as well. And that is important because of what's going to be on the ground, which will start as rain across parts of Texas, right over the Red River, changes over to ice, sleet. This is going to cause major disruptions to travel. Ice storms can oftentimes be more treacherous than just the snowstorm itself because of, you get that ice accreting a quarter of an inch, a half an inch, and it can cause major accidents. It is very hard to stop on a road that is just completely covered with ice. At least in snow, you have a fighting chance. But you can see all the snow as it keeps creeping north into that very Arctic air that we have in place is going to become all snow across the Ohio Valley into the Northeast. Maybe a little mixing New York City area down towards the Jersey Shore could lower the numbers a little bit. That goes down to the DCA as well. There you can see our snow forecast, and it's pretty much the writing on the wall here, folks. Right along this swath on the northern edge of the storm, from the Midwest, from the heartland, all the way to the Northeast, we're looking at a foot plus of snow. There'll be some embedded areas, especially in New England, that get 18, 19, 20 inches of snow. You do see that orange area that is circled along the I-95 corridor. That is the area I was talking about. Some dry air, some mixing with sleet could lower the totals for those locations. The ice situation right now, and you heard our friend of the National Weather Service last hour talking about the two major problem areas, the central Mississippi Valley, Little Rock, Arkansas included in that, up towards Memphis. And then again for the Carolinas, northern Georgia, northern South Carolina as well. Those are the areas where widespread power outages are possible here that could see the highest amount of ice with the freezing rain. Then the temperatures, I mean, they're not getting talked about as much for good reason because of course, the storm. But this is what's really paving the way for a lot of that snow as the storm moves north and just hits into this air. Brutal stuff. The second you step outside and this hits your face, wind chills 25 to 50 degrees below zero. And even though it's not going to be that cold in the south, we still have the same type of cold weather advisories and cold weather warnings all the way down into Texas, because depends on what part of the country you're from, you're kind of used to a different level of cold. These all circles here are likely records that will be broken as we look ahead to Monday, with temperatures as low as 5 to 10 degrees and some lows even getting into the negative territory. Not wind chills, actual low temperatures. And this Arctic blast, it's not going anywhere. As we go ahead through the end of January and even into the first week of February, anybody north of this line is going to be stuck in the freezer. This is just going to be a brutal wintry stretch, Diane, for millions and millions of folks across the country.
Sure is. Jeff Banson, thank you. And we're already seeing some impacts from that storm. ABC transportation reporter Sam Sweeney is watching the travel impacts for us, and ABC's Andrew Dimbert is in New York City, where we are already feeling the cold. So, Andrew, what are state and local officials saying ahead of this storm?
Hey, Diane. So here in New York, Governor Kathy Hochul declaring a state of emergency, which essentially allows local governments here to use more state resources to tackle this storm. We've seen transportation crews, for example, getting ready to dump tons of salt and de-icer on these roads. And as for public schools, a lot of parents here in New York City wondering if schools will be open or closed on Monday. Moments ago, New York City Mayor Zoran Mamdani saying he hasn't made a decision just yet. He'll make a final decision this weekend, but parents should anticipate at least switching to remote learning. And this storm, millions of Americans are in its path. So it's not just New York and the Northeast. Up and down the I-95 corridor, states are getting ready. Take a listen to North Carolina's governor on his state's efforts to get ready for this potentially historic storm.
This storm is expected to cause major disruptions to your daily life, possibly for days. Our message to North Carolina is simple. This is a serious storm. We are taking it seriously, and so should you. The NCDOT has already put down 2.8 million gallons of brine to pre-treat the roads and is ready to salt the roads and plow them once the storm begins.
And as for residents in this storm's path, the advice is pretty simple and straightforward. Get ready, stock up on supplies now. Food, water, medicine, batteries, flashlight. There could be power outages, and it could be a while before the power goes back on. And then stay indoors, minimize your exposure, but most importantly, it's to take this storm seriously, Diane.
Good advice. And so what's the latest on the travel impacts?
Well, there are more than 1,500 cancellations for Saturday alone. That number is going to continue to grow. The airlines are preemptively canceling these flights so they can make sure people are not trapped in the airports for days on end. We are going to see airport closures, complete shutdowns on Sunday in many of the Northeast airports as this system moves through the area. We're talking snow and ice. It is going to be a huge job for these plow crews to keep these runways and taxiways open. You also have to de-ice these planes. The airlines are moving most of their planes out of the storm's path. So once the storm clears, they can then move those planes and crews back into place. That takes several days to get fully back up to speed. So you can expect cancellations Monday, Tuesday, and even into Wednesday.
Andrew, Sam, thank you.
Wow. Holy cow. Holy cow burgers. So yeah, 14 states have just been put on emergency warnings there. So Matt, engineers to succeed. I know you're in the Midwest, and I'll take it you're getting your shit together, man, because yeah, it's only going to be a few hours before it gets dark, and I suspect waking up in the morning, man, it's going to be something else. Pretty crazy. So where are we? Very strange how this is all changed. Let's have a look. I think we're on this one here.
Once that cold air gets in, it's going to meet up with the moisture. Here's the thing. Dallas today is going to be a rain event for us. Abilene, Amarillo, we've got that cold air. Oklahoma, cold air for us. That means we're going to see frozen precip. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get snow the entire time, because remember, that's what's happening at the surface. But you have the warm, moist air above it, and so that can actually change what you get at the surface. Notice Wichita at 6 degrees, much colder air there into Kansas, all snow for us. As we head into Saturday morning, this is when things really start to explode, and then it continues as we head through the day on Saturday. And notice that temperature drop down to 26 into Dallas, Austin 34, Houston, we're watching you as well, Shreveport, Little Rock. This corridor could have significant icing, significant frozen precip. You see it marching down towards Alexandria, Louisiana, and this is going into our Saturday evening. So it is an all-day Saturday onslaught of frozen precip. Continues into our Sunday. The backside is going to be snow for us, Houston. Are we going to get a little bit of icing potential? It is certainly there. And then as we head later in the day on Sunday, everything is cleared out, and we're all essentially below freezing, well below freezing here. And that means that whatever falls is going to stick. We could see 12 to 18 inches anywhere from Oklahoma all the way up into the Ohio River Valley.
So we're good today. We're good tomorrow. By the time you wake up on Sunday, forget about it. It's over. We're talking about convective snow, potentially, maybe even getting into some thunder and lightning here with snow. We could mix in with sleet in New York. It wouldn't surprise me at all. Philly, you could actually get even a little freezing rain down in southern parts of New Jersey. But that is going to be about it. We start tapering this thing off on Monday, but not before anywhere from 8 to 18 inches of snowfall. And I have to give you that range because I don't know exactly how much sleet is going to fall. Regardless, it's a blockbuster for millions of us.
Wow. You heard him. It's a blockbuster for millions. 200 million people affected by this megastorm. Now, there's going to be a lot for us to learn with the fallout of this. There are going to be millions of stories of people's experiences as they go through this storm in less than 24 hours from right now. So if you're not preparing, you need to make a start, an urgent start right now. You've probably left it too late, to be fair. From the intel that's been coming in with panic buying, it's off the charts. Most large stores are out of all fresh supplies. Not making it up. If you don't believe me, go down to your store and check it out for yourself. You could be in for a bit of a shock.
Welcome back. More than 100 million people across the U.S. are bracing for a bitter winter storm this weekend, with wind chills expected as low as minus 50 degrees in some areas.
With the temps dipping, forecasters warn driving conditions could be dangerous because of icy roads. In some states, it could be too cold to be outside for any extended period of time. Even across the South, temps could be well below normal.
NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung is here with some tips to keep yourself, your family, your home safe against this brutal winter weather. Brian, I mean, Negative. That doesn't
Yeah.
even sound like Earth.
Remarkable.
Sounds like we're talking about the moon. Or
I've
something.
experienced it too, by the way.
I was going to say, in
One day,
Minnesota, I feel
you're,
like, yeah.
you're in and out quick and you cover everything.
No.
Although people will still go out for a run.
No, I knew you were going to
Yeah.
say that. That's insane. Okay, this is also though going to. I mean, Joe's used to it in somewhere like Minnesota.
Yep.
People in Texas, people in Florida, not always used to weather like
Right,
this.
right.
How can people get their homes ready if it's not something they're used to?
Yeah, we heard that forecast earlier in the show. This
Yeah.
is some serious stuff. So I think the first thing that people need to think about is making sure that they're efficiently heating their homes. So a few things that people should be doing. First off, cleaning your heating system. Your furnaces can get clogged up, and it's generally a good idea to clean your furnace at least once a year. Also, seal your drafts. There's a lot of leakage in your house, let's say under the doors, for example, where a heat can escape. Make sure you plug them up. And then lastly, close the fireplace damper. Ironically, that is a place where a lot of people are losing heat. If you're not actively using it as a fireplace, make sure that it's closed so that you're not losing all that heat, basically flowing up to the top of your house.
And of course, if you're going to use it, make sure it's open.
Exactly. Yes, right.
Critical there. So far, heating costs are up nearly 10% this year, and I don't think people are going to be cutting back this weekend.
Yeah, certainly.
What are some of the things that you can do to try and save on energy?
Yeah, and by the way, the average expectation is that the household, average American household, will spend almost $1,000 on heating their home this winter. So it is very expensive. Some cost-saving tips, according to Con Edison: turn on your humidifiers. In fact, they say that having a humidifier on in your house is going to do a better job at dispersing the heat. That's a good tip. Also, if you're going to be stuck inside in the snow anyway and you're baking cookies, turning on that oven is a good way to get some of that heat in your kitchen and through the rest of your house as well. Space heaters, I know a lot of people tend to rely on those. If you do have a home heating system, think of your space heater as more of a backup. The reason being, space heaters take up more energy than your installed already home system already has.
Okay, as a newish homeowner, when you hear about the idea of your pipes freezing, especially as a Southern California girl, and you're like, okay, that sounds like that's going to cost you a lot. What do you need to keep in mind when it comes to your plumbing?
Yeah, and this is where the prep really comes in handy. First off, inspect the parts of your home that do tend to be more vulnerable to icing over, like, for example, your attic, your basement, your garage is another one. And if you see exposed pipes, try to insulate them before the storm. Drain your hoses, close the inside valves, and in some cases, if you know that there are certain pipes that tend to be an issue in previous storms, keep the water running. Even if it's just a trickle, it's going to be a good way to make sure that there's no water sitting in there that could ice over. And then lastly, if your pipes do freeze over, it has happened before, thaw them using warm blankets that you basically dipped into warm or hot water. That's a good way to thaw them out.
We used to use blow dryers. I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but we would use
I think the wet towels is a better way.
It is
to
a
do
better way.
Yeah,
That's good to know.
Too much heat in one go might actually make it easier.
All right, good to know. All right, let's switch gears and talk about your car. What do you want to do just to make sure you're safe in case you end up on the side of the road and it's freezing? What are the best?
Yeah, well, I mean, the side of the road is certainly one issue, but I think people even starting their cars after the winter storm is going to be an issue. So first off, as your car is parked in your driveway ahead of the storm, make sure that you're checking all the tire pressures. That tends to be the first place where people run into issues during these winter storms. You lose a lot of pressure in those tires. Get winter tires or snow chains if there is a lot of accumulation headed your way. Check your antifreeze levels as well, and then add an ice repellent to your windshield to make sure that you don't have that icy view, so that it prevents you from being able to drive. And one last thing I would add here is have a pair of jump cables in your car, because I know a lot of batteries tend to die during this cold, during these cold winter storms. And you definitely don't want to get stuck. If you have those jump cables, at least you have the option to start it.
Let's talk about just ourselves, our bodies. What do you wear in this kind of cold? How long is it even possible or safe to be out in it?
Yeah, so layer up. At least 3 layers is kind of the advice here. If you can go more, I would say go even higher than that. Cover your hands, head, and feet. Those are the real areas where you can risk frostbite. And then lastly, just stay inside if the wind chill is especially below 13 degrees. I mean, you're talking about -50. Even 13 degrees can be too cold if you're out there for extended periods of time, which people will be as they're shoveling snow.
Yeah.
So just make sure that you're trying to look at the weather, try to pick the warmer midday times to get out there if you really have to.
When it's 14.
When it's 14 as opposed to maybe 0 or 2. But look, everyone, I think a good amount of precaution is definitely warranted in a big storm like this.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some good pointers there, what was just picked up on. Like I said before, if you haven't done this now and you're in America, you need to get yourself some silicone spray. Okay, silicone spray. What you need to do is open your vehicle doors and spray all of the rubber seals around your doors. So the door, rubber seal, and the entrance to your vehicle, which is a rubber seal. Spray that with silicone spray. Give it 30 seconds, close the doors up. Okay, that way you're going to ensure you're going to have a much better chance of actually getting into your vehicle before starting it. If you don't do that, with those temperatures, I guarantee you, you will not be able to get in your vehicle, never alone start it. Another thing, consider removing your battery from your vehicle, keeping it inside in the warm until you need it. When you need to start the car, take the battery out there, pop the hood, put it in there, connect it, and it should start. If you leave your battery out there in those temperatures, there's a high chance it won't start at all. Some of the other things about protective clothing as well, absolutely. Make sure that you keep everything covered, okay? If you go out there dressed, but like this, in those temperatures, you're in serious trouble very, very fast. If you've got no experience in extreme cold, you are going to struggle. And the older you are, the worse it's going to be. Mark my words, that's pretty much a guarantee from there. Now, we've got a latest breaking event from the news desk right now. So we're going to check out what's going down with this one.
Forecasters tracking a monster winter storm that could become historic and catastrophic with dangerous impacts expected for tens of millions of Americans this weekend. Buckets of snow, crippling ice, and frigid temps threaten to paralyze the South, Midwest, and East Coast. Joining us now is the director of the National Weather Service, Ken Graham. Director Graham, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Jan. Thanks for having me on today. So thank you.
When you hear words like historic and catastrophic, that's going to get some people's attention. What makes this storm different from what we typically see?
I think part of it is just the size. I mean, I was looking at it even this morning. We have our website's weather.gov, and I looked at it this morning just trying to take in the big picture. And we have watches and warnings stretching from New Mexico to New England, 2,000 miles. So more than half the country's involved with this winter weather event. So I think one part of it, we get ice, we get snow. Nothing's off the chart historic in some of the amounts, but what's off the chart to me is just the sheer size of the storm.
It is humongous. Talk about some of the timelines here, when and where the storm's going to start to hit the hardest.
Yeah, it looks like things are going to be starting up today. So looking at Texas, you start looking at Oklahoma. So today you'll start seeing an increase in some of that precipitation. The cold's already filtering into the country from the north. So the cold temperatures are going to be in place. So you're going to start, the precipitation begins today, progressing over the weekend. So into Saturday, Oklahoma. Saturday night, you start thinking Arkansas, you think in Louisiana. And then Saturday night and into Sunday, even Sunday night in New England, you start looking at the I-95 corridor, it's going to start seeing some significant snowfall and even sleet. So at that time, that's the progression. So it's a weekend event, and it's going to be significant air travel, road travel, just significant impacts all across the board.
Also significant cold, a major factor here. How dangerous could these frigid temperatures be, and what should people know about the risk of power outages and heating failures?
Yeah, we're starting to use language like, especially the areas East Texas, Arkansas, in the south, where you're going to get the freezing rain. So that we predict a ½ inch to an inch of freezing rain in some of those areas. That's catastrophic. That's trees coming down. That's power outages. And you mentioned the cold, Jan. That's part of the problem here too, is the cold isn't going away anytime soon. So once all that ice falls, and then you start having zero wind chills, you have temperatures well below freezing all the way to the Gulf Coast. The ice isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So those power outages could be prolonged in some places, especially rural areas where you can't get trucks in there with the trees down. I wouldn't be surprised some people won't have power for possibly a week. So we got to be prepared for that.
And that's really scary when you talk about sub-zero, sub-freezing temperatures from some of these areas that aren't used to this. We've seen, the forecast change a few times as the storm does come into focus. Not too dramatically, though. Why are winter storms like this particularly hard to track, even with updated technology?
Well, I was director of the Hurricane Center, and I found it was easier to predict a hurricane than it is winter weather. It really is.
Wow.
Because there's so many factors that come into a winter weather event. You got to have the cold. You have to have some sort of lifting mechanism to lift the air up to cause the precipitation, and you have to have moisture. So in this case, three things coming together. One of them is the cold air. We got it. Check mark. We got the cold air in place. The other one's a low pressure off the Pacific, and now it's in the desert Southwest. That's going to be moving across the southern United States, providing that lift. And the other one is in the Gulf of America, about 10 to 12,000 feet, there's a warm area. bringing up some moisture into the system. That's what's going to cause some of the moisture involved with the freezing rain. So we have thrown everything at this, Jan. We have aircraft. We've actually sent aircraft to the Pacific to look at the low pressure out there. We have aircraft at several different altitudes in the Gulf of America to start looking at where's the moisture, how much moisture there is. So a very difficult forecast, getting the observations we need to get into the models to make the prediction.
Do you expect any big changes in the forecast models right now?
I think you're going to see very consistent in the forecast models. What you can see is these small, faster, slower, 30, 40 miles in either direction. So anybody that's on the border of you're getting freezing rain or snow, those type of things could slide around 40 or 50 miles. But at this point, it's all about getting ready.
Yeah.
At this point is you're going to get winter weather, whether it's snow, whether it's sleet, whether it's the freezing rain. You got to be ready. It's coming.
Freezing rain is the worst because that's the ice, and that's what's really dangerous. All right, Director of the National Weather Service, Ken Graham, thank you for joining us and for the work your team is doing. We really appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Jan.
Wow, she was kind of scary. Holy shit. Right, what have we got next? Right, okay, yeah, right. I'm just figuring this all out because we've had some big changes pop up with this as we went through. Hopefully this should work.
All right, let's begin with that dangerous winter storm that's taking aim at millions of Americans. It's already started in some spots. Preparations are underway across parts of the South, up through New England. The biggest concern is the ice. The National Weather Service is warning there could be catastrophic accumulation in some places. The storm is also expected to bring more places, expected to bring other places more than a foot of snow. That's what he's trying to say. It will stretch more than 2,000 miles across the U.S. Bitter cold temperatures are also expected, meaning the accumulation will be with us for a while.
We have team coverage for you this morning. CBS News correspondent Nicole Valdez is in Nashville, Tennessee, which is bracing for impact. But first, let's go to CBS News national weather correspondent Rob Marciano, who's in Steamboat Springs, Colorado, a.k.a. Ski Town, USA.
Hey, good morning, Adriana. Good morning to you, Vlad. Yeah, we're hoping to get a little bit of that snow coming through here because that upper level energy that's kind of meet up with the southern branch of the jet stream is what's going to cause this whole mess.
What the hell is
it is a mess that's going to happen here for the next 3+ days. And then deep freeze after that. So 180 million Americans right now under winter alerts, a huge chunk of that in the pink and the dark purple. Those are winter storm and ice warnings. Dallas, you're warm now, but you'll eventually get meet up with some of that colder air, and the rain will turn to ice. Snows above I-40 basically. And then as this thing traverses the country during the day tomorrow, some of that heavier stuff coming during the day on Sunday, and then big time snows across parts of the Northeast. So let's go over it. Snow not as big of an issue in Dallas as the ice will be, but 9 to 12 inches of snowfall from Oklahoma City to Springfield to St. Louis. There's your ice situation, especially east down I-20 towards Shreveport and lower parts of Arkansas. And that's today and through Saturday. And then during the day, Saturday into Sunday night, 12 to 18 inches of snow up the Ohio River Valley, Louisville to Cincinnati, lesser amounts down to the south, but south of Memphis and into Nashville. Upwards of a half an inch to an inch of ice, and that's going to take out power lines for sure and take trees down, and travel is just going to be shut down completely there. And then we've got cold air wedging down parts of the Carolinas, so that's where we're going to see some of the ice there. And then the snowfall, this is the blockbuster event that we've been saying we haven't seen all winter long, and here we go. DC up to a foot of snow there, in Philadelphia a foot to a foot and a half, New York, Hartford to Boston, with probably still snowing in through parts of Boston by Monday morning. So after this comes through, guys, we're in the deep freeze in some places for 10 days. So it will stick around, and that may very well be the hardest part of this as we go forward here into the heart of winter. Adriana, Vlad, back to you.
Oh, wow. Okay, Rob, thank you very much. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Nicole Valdez, who's in Nashville, Tennessee. So, Nicole, Rob may be in Ski Town, USA, but across parts of the South, like where you are, they do not see the kind of conditions that he might see. So what's the latest from Nashville?
Vlad, good morning. Yeah, you're right. This is going to be a rare event for cities like Nashville. It's why you see what's happening behind me, and it's been going on for the last few days. These are officials and drivers with the Department of Transportation. That is a massive mountain of salt. In fact, a fraction of the hundreds of thousands of gallons the city has ready to go, and they're going to start putting that on the roads as soon as we start to see that storm move in. But what they've been doing for the last few days is putting down a chemical mixture called brine. Essentially, the hope is that that will heat up the asphalt. So as either snow or ice starts to fall and form, you're hoping that it won't stick to the streets, and those snow plows can then try to make a dent and make those roads somewhat drivable. But that is truly the main concern here, is how slick will these roads be? Just how dangerous will they be for anyone who tries to leave their home in the next few days? Certainly, it's why officials say here, try not to leave your home. If you don't have to, don't go out and drive to the store. At this point, you're going to want to make a plan to hunker down in your home. And in fact, there are several tips you should probably take into account today before that storm moves in on what to do to protect your home from any major winter storm damage. That includes, of course, protecting those pipes and avoiding a burst pipe. So keeping your faucets dripping and covering any outdoor pipes, that's going to be key to doing that. And of course, there's a chance you could lose power in all of this. Try to keep the heat in and the cold air out. So sealing your windows can be a big help in that, but definitely try to avoid using any of those propane heaters or generators inside your home. Those fumes can sadly be deadly, Vlad.
Very good advice. One of my favorite things about Nashville is their love for Dolly Parton. They celebrated Dolly Parton Day on her birthday on Monday.
19th,
Stick with me. I'm bringing it back.
Bringing it back to weather.
My daughter also celebrated Dolly Parton Day at school this week because her teacher's a huge fan. I'm coming back to weather. Stick with me. Nicole, tell us what the Dolly Parton themed thing is in Nashville that they're going to use to combat this weather.
You know, it's such a fun thing that they do here in Nashville. There are not many snow plows here because, again, we just don't get that much snow, but they've got 45 this year. And every time they get a new fleet, these school children get to hold a contest and name those new snow plows. So of the several names that won this year, Dolly Plowton is one of them. Another one is Snowella and Blizzard of Oz, guys. How fun.
Oh, yeah, little Dolly Plowton and Blizzard of Oz. I love that for Ozzy Osbourne. Love it.
Not for Ozzy Osbourne, for the Wizard of Oz.
Oh, come on.
Sometimes you know too much about music. I love it.
That's
you,
so
Nicole.
funny. Nicole, thank you. That was great. Oh, wow, that's pretty funny.
No, that's good. I like it.
Yeah.
It could be for Ozzy Osbourne. We actually don't know. He was a wizard. But let's move over to St. Louis. Right now, we are joined by the mayor of St. Louis, Missouri, Kara Spencer. Mayor, thank you so much for joining us and sitting while we discussed The Wizard of Oz versus Ozzy Osbourne. But I know you are very busy right now. You've activated the highest emergency response level in your city for this storm. Tell us what that means and what your expectations are right now for the storm.
Well, that's right. We have some serious cold weather and a lot of snow rolling in. In fact, the temperatures have already dropped about 6 degrees since the sun came up this morning. And, you know, this is, of course, on the heels of a massive, enormous tornado that hit our city, the most destructive tornado since Joplin that hit our city just last year. So our focus is really twofold here. We are clearing streets and really focused on keeping folks warm and safe during this winter weather event. The code blue tier 4 is really activating all aspects of city government, our partners on the exterior that are helping with shelter space. And we're doing our best to keep folks safe through this massive weather event.
And Mayor, we've heard that you've got some plans for some neighborhood groups to help pitch in with the preparations. Tell us about that.
That's right. So we have been out there with the brine you mentioned earlier. So we've already dispersed 30,000 gallons of brine. Our salt trucks are ready to go. But we know even through all of our city staff on board, we're going to have a tough time getting into all the residential streets. So we are piloting here this year, this weather event, a neighborhood salt program. We're going to have 5 drop spots where residents can go and pick up salt today and tomorrow, depending on when the snow really starts to accumulate here, so they can disperse it on their own streets, on their own sidewalks, and really help to really be a part of the solution here. This is an enormous amount of snow that we're expecting, and so we need all hands on deck, including members of our community.
You really do see when the community comes together during events like this. Neighbors checking on their neighbors, neighbors helping shovel and salt for their neighbors. But it's great that your community is coming together as they are. Mayor Kara Spencer, thank you so much for joining us.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, yes, big stuff hitting the fan in the US within the next 24 hours. So if you're out in intercontinental United States, I'm going to wish you all of the best. Things to consider. Now, make sure that you've got enough fresh water inside the house, okay? It's no good if it's in an outbuilding, it will freeze, okay? Bring that stuff in. My advice would be get all of the family to have a shower tonight before they go to bed. And then as soon as that's happened, fill the bath up. Fill up the bathtub. That's what I would do. Get your plug, which plugs into the hole. Wrap it with some, we call it cling film in the UK. I don't know what you guys call it in America, which you wrap up sandwiches with, etc. That clear plastic stuff. Put that around it, because I guarantee you, you put that plug in the plug hole, fill it up, come back in 2 hours later, it could be all gone. All right. Fill up your bath. Simple. Because if you do get power cuts, which you probably will, you're then okay to boil rice, to boil pasta, to make cups of tea, coffee, etc., to fill up hot water bottles. All right. It's the quickest, easiest way to get a large amount of water. Okay. And if your toilets are still flushing, etc., if you've got any problems, you can use the water from your bath to put in your cistern and then flush your bad boys away. Hopefully nothing's still too frozen. Good advice earlier, if you've got any outdoor taps or faucets, I think you call it in America, make sure that if you've got a hose connected to your outside faucet, disconnect the hose, get the water out of the hose. It will freeze, it will break, and it will ruin the hose. I have seen some weird little safety features which you can connect onto your faucet, turn it on, and the pressure will go from the tap into that, and it will slowly drip if it gets cold. They're awesome. I don't know what they're called, but look online. Hopefully, if you haven't left it too late, you can buy them at the local store. I would get fresh food. So you're talking like bacon, eggs, bread, butter, cheese, milk, dairy, that sort of thing. Okay. Most of us should already have the staples. We should already have our rices, our beans, our pulses, our lentils, our pastas. Okay. All of our dried foods. We should have tinned food, canned food. All of that should be squared. It's the fresh stuff, because when this storm hits, expect this cold weather to go right into next month. Okay, there are going to be long-term issues. Okay, you really need to think ahead and make sure you've got enough fresh food to last you for at least a week. Forget these couple of days. When this snowfall hits, the main routes or the routes are going to be okay. It's the sidewalks, it's the small streets where you guys live. Okay, that is going to be under snow and ice. Trying to clear ice mixed up with snow with a snow shovel is not much fun. Furthermore, if you do have to go outside when the weather is cold, now I am aware that most of you, if it was me, I would probably do the same. I'll probably want to go outside, do some video with my phone, take some pictures, maybe build a snowman with the kids, that sort of thing. That's fine, of course, but these temperatures are going to be a lot colder than most people below that southern flank line have experienced. And it's very, very, very easy to come unstuck. Let me give you an example, okay? So you put all of your clothes on, all of your wool layers like we got on here and thermal shirts. That's great. You go outside, you go to use your phone. What's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to take your gloves off so you can operate the phone. You have to be really careful. You don't want to do it any more than 10 or 20 seconds. Trust me, if you get frostnip on your fingers, you are going to need help from emergency services. And guess what? You're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. They are going to be overwhelmed, not be able to go and reach people. Make sure your first aid kit is all up to stock, up to date. Nothing's gone off or bad. Fuel generators, make sure you've got enough petrol, diesel, gas, right? Keep that inside your home, right? You don't want it out in the garage freezing. Okay, I know gas freezes at low temperatures, but when you see minus 50 Fahrenheit, that's minus, what is it, 45 degrees centigrade. That's no joke. Okay, stuff is going to screw up with your vehicle. I would basically look upon all of this as a prepping training exercise and be fully prepared to bug in. Okay, you don't want to be going out unless you really have to. If you have to go out and drive in an emergency, may God be with you, because you're going to need so much luck with that. I am not pulling your chain. It's going to be horrendous, seriously. So comms are a good thing. Okay, power is going to be lost in some areas, not all, but the majority of cases will get power cuts. If you're in the zone where you're going to get lots of freezing ice, you will get power cuts, I guarantee you. Okay, you need to make sure that all of your power banks to charge up your phones are going to be working. All of your Wi-Fi. Can you run your Wi-Fi without mains electric? Think about it. Okay, if you can't, trust me, when your power goes off, your internet goes off. Yeah, you're not going to be able to get Wi-Fi on your phone. And if you're inside the house and you can't get any data through your windows, you are not going to get any internet at all. This could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days, wherever it can be. Not everyone is going to experience the same. Some people will get it a lot worse than others. And a lot of people are going to suffer because this is unusual for the areas that these people reside in. Okay, we understand the further north you go in the US, it's fine. There's infrastructure, people are used to it, people are prepared. When you start going down to Tennessee, Alabama and places, wow, they are going to be in for a hell of a shock. This is predicted to be the biggest storm of this century. So from the year 2000 to tomorrow, the day after, they are expecting records to be broken. So this is going to be the biggest storm of this century so far. We're 26 years into the new century already, and experts are saying that this is going to be way worse than anything that's happened in this year, so in this century so far. So I'm going to love you and leave you. I hope you guys are going to stay safe, keep warm. Please don't take any risks, okay? Don't be the idiot, and don't be caught out panic buying like lots of the other idiots have done, okay? Stay prepared, and may God help you all. Thanks for watching, and stay fun.
I'd buy that for $1.